Media. Using social media for what it was originally intended for. Social networking. A revolutionary idea, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's episode. Let's go.
Hi, my name is Ronnie Cruz. After almost 2 decades as a career network marketer, I realized that despite continual work on my personal and professional development, that I had hit a massive brick wall. So I took a deep and honest look at myself, top to bottom, hoping to find answers, and my search led me to one conclusion. The definitions I held of my business, of my world, of my life were the very things holding me back. If I wanted to change, if I wanted to grow beyond my current circumstances, I had to wipe the slate clean and redefine. This show is dedicated to helping you identify the belief systems, the mindsets, the very definitions that have held you back, and then help you break through those limitations to finally create the life you've been working so hard to achieve. Welcome to the Redefine Podcast.
Okay, happy podcast day. Happy podcast day to you. Welcome to the show if you're brand new. And of course, if you are an existing listener, welcome back. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't done this already, go ahead and hit that plus sign on the top of whatever podcast app you happen to be listening on. And of course, if you're watching the video version of this, hit me with a subscribe. Let's grow this show together. Okay, anyways, today we're going to talk about social networking, right? Using the social platforms to connect with more people, right? And develop relationships, develop friendships, as opposed to the conversation we had on Tuesday's episode where we talked about content creation as a means to grow your brand and grow your brand awareness, right? And I think that really is the difference between the two, right? The former, our conversation on Tuesday was really all about growing your sheer reach to grow your business. And today's conversation is going to be about growing meaningful relationships, again, as a means to grow your business. I think those are two very distinct things. Now, for many of you, this is going to be pretty intuitive and will come pretty natural, of course, with a few tweaks. And I say it's going to be intuitive and natural because connecting is something I think we all do naturally, especially for those of you, from my generation and before, where there was no social media growing up, right? Like we had to connect and make friends offline. And it's really just a matter of translating that to the online space, to the social media space. And again, just tweaking a few things. So this is something that most of you probably already do anyways. The caveat is, again, if we're growing our business, what tends to happen is when people start their business and then try to use their social media platforms to grow that business, it ends up looking too much like marketing and selling. And your audience is going to tune out because, those connections were originally made as friends, right? And from a relationship standpoint. And so when they see you starting to kind of sell them stuff on the feed, it's just not interesting and it doesn't contribute anything. And so your engagement will drop dramatically. So the first rule that I'm going to share with you is the 80-20 rule, right? And I got this from Predictive Social Media. I'll leave a link to that. I'm really getting into predictive social media, but I'll leave a link to that so you can get more information and learn about using social media to grow your business and grow your relationships and then grow your business. But it's a 80-20 rule where you post 80% personal stuff and 20% of your post is business stuff. And we'll get into the content of the actual post, but 80-20 really works well. And that way you're not just flooding and selling on your feed. So what does a personal post look like? First of all, it's not like airing out your personal business, right? You don't want to use that. I don't think it's productive to use the platform in that way. I know some people do it, but most of those people that do that don't have a business and aren't trying to grow their business. That's okay. But if you're growing your business, you want to stay as far away from personal drama as you can, because everybody has their own personal drama. Last thing they want is to look at your drama on their feed, right? So let's stay away from personal drama on the social feeds. I would also suggest staying away from anything too controversial. I know there may come a time that you feel like you have to make a stance on a particular thing, and I have done that before in the past. But generally, I it's not that I avoid those, but for me, it's not social media, and especially my platforms, is not necessarily a place that I can have, or that I feel like I can have productive conversations around those things, right? It's really becomes a matter of just sharing my opinion as opposed to engaging in discourse, and we see that obviously happening all the time on social media. So stay away from those things. Don't be too confrontational and too personal and too much drama and all that stuff, right? Let's stay with things that are more positive. And when it comes to personal things that you want to share, personal posts is really, for me, I think of it as what brings you joy, right? What excites you? What things are you passionate about? What things are you really, really interested in? What things make you make you curious, right? Like what things kind of expand your mind and expand your perspective. Sharing these things with other people allows them to get a little peek of what you're into, and not only that, but it'll also attract people that are into the same thing. So keep that in mind, and that's the difference, I think. They're in content creation. So like we have this this idea that you got to be provide value in your content, and I'm starting to steer away from that and moving more towards contribution. And again, that's a word that predictive social media uses. They say leave a contribution, and that, again, that contribution can be in many forms. But for me, the main idea is contributing a little bit of positivity and something interesting, maybe even educational, to someone's day through their feed, right? Another caveat that I forgot to mention at the beginning of this is that you don't want to be necessarily too educational, right? Like you don't need to be a guru, you don't need to be the teacher, you especially don't want to be preachy, right? These posts, generally, you want to keep them brief. The longer they get, the more unengaged people become. So keep it brief, keep it light, and if it's educational, don't be the guru or the expert. Just be the messenger, so to speak, right? All right. So yeah, really, really simple. Contribute to people's day in a positive way through your personal post by sharing the things that really excite you and that you're interested in. Simple as that. 80% of your post, make that be the focus. So the other 20% is your biz post. Now, again, as I mentioned, don't just post features and benefits of your product and services. I think the best thing to do would be to post your personal experience with the particular product without necessarily, again, mentioning any product features or benefits. You might be like, for example, if you're in health and wellness, maybe mention or talk about a specific ingredient in that product, but don't name the product itself, because again, you start to the more information you give about the product or the service, you start to cross closer and closer. You start to inch closer and closer to crossing the line of selling and marketing, right? So, for example, I posted something the other day about omegas, and it was a really brief post, a picture of me holding one of my omega capsules that I take. And I was like, I really believe in the importance of omegas. However, omegas to our health. However, I don't eat enough fish to get the required omegas in my nutrition that I need. And so that's why I supplement. I think it's very, very important. And that was the post. That post, it was so brief, it was so simple, and it wasn't salesy. It actually got like a really, really high engagement, higher than what my engagement has been in recent history. So you see, I mentioned something that I do, and I mentioned why I'm interested in it, and I mentioned like maybe a specific ingredient, and people were interested in it. People supported it. People liked it. People commented on it. And I even got a few comments and direct messages that were like, man, yeah, I need to take omegas myself. What are you taking? And so it's really, really effective way. Again, this takes practice, and I've only started posting about my business in this way, but it's sort of a mix of personal and business in that regard, with the personal side being the higher priority, because again, it's all about developing relationship. It's all about making that connection, and as people get to know what you're about, that connection deepens, right? social media is powerful that way, and we don't necessarily have to sell, we don't have to market, we don't have to talk about features and benefits in our post to use it effectively to grow our business. It is a process, and you'll have to learn how to develop the skills in chatting and DMing and all that stuff. But again, if you put relationship as the priority, then it can be a very, very effective way to grow your business without having to worry about learning marketing, without worrying about becoming a quote unquote content creator, because you're just sharing stuff about you, and stuff about your own life that you think can help other people, and that can contribute to their lives as well, right? So it's really simple. It's really simple. And of course, if you have any more questions, or if you want to learn more about this particular style of social networking, yeah, go look it up on Predictive Social Media. I'll leave a link in the show notes. I'm not an affiliate at all, but I really love the principles that they teach, because again, it is very intuitive, and it's just a matter of translating what we already do online and off, in terms of connecting and meeting people, into a more productive and more intentional and purposeful way. So that is social networking, a revolutionary idea for growing your business. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and hop out because the dogs are starting to get restless downstairs, but I appreciate you. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. We'll catch you on Tuesday with a fresh new one. So until then, be well, be safe. We'll see you in the next episode.